Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take it from the Iron Woman. We only have special guests, and today we go to Amanda's home, Miss Panda. Welcome, Amanda. Please introduce yourself. Who's Amanda who's going to join us today for the podcast?
Thank you. I'm Amanda Hsiung-Blodgett. Most people know me as Miss Panda. Kids and parents know me as Miss Panda. I'm the creator of Miss Panda Chinese and also the author of Let's Learn Mandarin Chinese with Miss Panda streaming album for the little kids and the whole family, as well as the author for First Mandarin Sounds, an awesome Chinese word book.
Can we learn some Chinese in 10-15 minutes? It's a difficult language. I speak 5 languages, but unfortunately not Chinese. How can I learn? How can we learn? How can we learn from you?
Oh, Mandarin actually is not a difficult language. It is different. It's a different kind of a language. Mm-hmm. Yes, because absolutely, you already probably know a lot of Chinese words. You have listen to it. You're like, I know this word. So let's take something very simple. Doufu, that's tofu. Doufu, that's already Chinese. Yeah. And if you want to know something more, for example, let's say 三明治, that's sandwich.
Say the sandwich again.
三明治.
三明治. Okay, I speak Chinese.
Yes.
Shay.
Oh, 谢谢，不客气，不客气。And one more thing I think a lot of people love, 巧克力。
巧克力。
Yeah, 巧克力, chocolate.
Oh, yes, I need to know. I'm originally from Switzerland, so 巧克力. That's so funny.
Yeah, so I think a lot of times we are exposed to it, but we just don't know. And there are so many fun things about Mandarin Chinese. But the one thing I think is more like a myth or misconception about Mandarin Chinese as one of the most difficult languages in the world. Actually, I think we need to think differently. It's a different language.
So then which language do you think is the most difficult one?
I think everyone is the same. If you're interested, you want to learn, I don't think it's anything difficult. It's a mindset. It's like how you see it. If you think something is difficult, it will become difficult. If you're curious about something, then you say, I want to learn. I'm curious about it, and you will be able to make it.
That's me. I always said I would like to learn Chinese. Maybe this is the year. And happy Chinese New Year. We said it's the year of the ox. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, so right now we're still in the year of the mouse. So we know how challenging it has been because of the pandemic. Year of the ox, or Chinese people will say year of the cow, 牛年. So year of the cow. Actually, there's a saying in Mandarin Chinese. It's called 扭转乾坤. So it's a play on word using the word 牛, which is cow, saying like, well, in this year, you might have a very dramatic, positive change. That I think we're all looking forward to it.
Yes. Let's just start at the beginning. How did you get to become Miss Panda? If the listener read her biography, everybody gets envious where she has been, what she has done. Tell us a little bit about your exciting life. What are the highlights?
Thank you. I actually was with the corporate before, and I was working for the entertainment industry. I was with Warner Brothers, and that was a very fun job, movie industry, and a lot of fun things going on, being able to travel, to Asian countries, to the States, a lot of Chinese territories, and learning and connecting with all the people who are working in the field and do promotions for movies and things like that. But when I got married and I kind of detoured to to a different direction, and I traveled from one country to another country every 2 to 3 years, I have been kind of start and build something and start, build something again. I think for me, the most interesting thing is I was doing a movie industry and I was in the entertainment industry. And then I transitioned to teaching. But teaching is actually not something strange to me because I almost had like a 2-track of careers going on at the same time. When I was working in the movie industry, I actually was still teaching. I was teaching ESL because I just love language. I feel language is so powerful because it builds relationship and it connects with people. And then when I transitioned and I decided because my kids need to keep their heritage language and culture. So I take it upon me and say, well, I better build a community for them since everywhere I go, probably nobody is speaking Chinese except me. That's where it all started.
And did you start it in person? I mean, years ago, everything was in person. And how has it morphed into who you are today?
Yeah, well, I did a lot of in-person teaching, no matter it's a Mandarin immersion play group for babies or in the school, it's like a weekly immersion program or bilingual education program. So most of them, when I first started, were all in person. And then I was able to do things virtually because I got students. They are, diplomat families and they were posted overseas. So they would like to take lessons with me. And then I started to do the virtual lessons. When the pandemic hit, actually, I am already in the virtual teaching and working kind of environment. It's very comforting to be able to be at home, teaching, working from home, and being with my children. At the same time, I can take care of my students and the learning never stops. Yes.
I know. I always say it's lifelong learning, and I try to learn something new every year. Last year, we met also at the Alt MBAs. This was another 30-day challenge where we challenged ourselves to do something new. What did you do during the Alt MBA?
Wow, that's a great question. During the LMBA, actually, I had a project in mind because I had an idea of writing a book to help people to learn a little Chinese, not so scary, but have fun. Not just for the kids, maybe even adults, if they're interested, they can say, I'm going to jump in and see. A lot of times we see Chinese words written in pinyin and people will say it and probably in the English way instead of the Mandarin way. So my idea to write this book actually fulfilled during my time, like after I finished the LMBA, and then I carried it out and published the book. That's our first Mandarin Sounds, an awesome Chinese book, because I want people to learn the accurate Mandarin pronunciation through playful words. And that's the purpose. So next up, when you see X and in Mandarin word, actually it sounds like xi, and then I'll give you a word, xigua, that's watermelon. So when you remember the words, that will associate with the sound. And when you see the letter X, and you will think in Mandarin, because that will be xigua, there is a meaning. The word builds stories. I think when we connect the sound with the word and then the story, everything will be easier to remember.
And it's what we know when you want to learn a new language. I grew up learning new languages in a way. It's about practicing. And I'm sure it's the same with Chinese. You probably have to dedicate 30 minutes a day to repeat to become the professionals you want.
I love what you said. I think the consistency and the daily practice are the way we build up anything or we learn anything. Because a lot of times for me, when I move to a new country, I have to learn a bit of the local language. Over the years, I have had the experience to learn some Japanese and Russian, and also practice my French and also Spanish. It's kind of scary sometimes at the beginning because you don't know the language. And sometimes even when you are put in a classroom system, and a lot of times people say, well, I don't really understand what you're talking about because you have an accent. And I think sometimes we need to be very, very mindful when we learn with others, because when a person has an accent, that means that person probably has more than one language.
I have an accent in all my languages, right? Everybody, I remember I was working for a big company and there was the person from Paris came and he says, mais vous êtes de la Suisse. So saying like, oh, you're from Switzerland, you don't know anything. We know the real French. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, but I do speak French. What I also learned, and sometimes we see that when you have an accent, people look at you and they think like, I don't want to say it too loud, they're stupid. But somebody once said, we have to say, I might have an accent, but I do not think with an accent. How about that?
I would say you're local and global.
Yeah.
Because you're here and you are also there.
Yes.
I think a language is a way to walk into a culture, and it's a way to connect with people. It's a way to connect your world with the outside world. Yeah. I think it doesn't matter if you're learning a Mandarin Chinese or French or Spanish. But when I say, well, something like salut, it's like I already connect with somebody.
Yeah.
That person feels so happy. Just like sometimes people know when I was in Morocco, when I first arrived in Morocco, I would go to the Medina, the big open market, and people were so curious about me because they have never seen anybody like me walking in the Medina. And so people actually were following me in the Medina. And after a few minutes, I was like, why are people following me? And then what happened next was really fascinating. People were using different languages to check to see if they can connect with me. Yes. So they said, I can hear Korean, then konnichiwa. Okay, hello. So they tried to figure out how they can connect with me. And then finally I told them, I don't understand all the languages you were saying. They were like, and I said, Qingwas. Qingwas. And they were so fascinated. And next time when I went back to the Medina, somebody said, Ni hao, because someone made an effort to learn the greeting expression and said that to me, talking about the power of languages.
And I have to say, these days, it's so easy. You go on Google, you say, how do you say hello in Chinese? You see it, but you can also hear it. When I used to be able to travel, I want to know thank you and hello in every language. And I remember I had a client from Korea and I said to him, what is hello? What is this? And everything sounded like 5, 6, 7 words. I'm like, sorry, this is too difficult. And then finally he said something like 안녕, which I think 안녕, which says hello and goodbye. I can remember that one word. But also when you think about the culture, it's a lot about respect. So that's why you probably use many more words than just hello, 4 or 5 letters. It's also about learning about the culture. When even one word you try to integrate rather than to have a chip on your shoulder. I'm like, I know everything. I know 5 languages, but I don't know yours. I think that goes a long way when you know a few words. Thank you so much. And bon voyage. Happy travels. Let's hope we all can travel again. Take it from the Ein Woman. We have episodes every Monday, every Wednesday. Don't miss out. We only have interesting people. You saw it with Miss Panda. You can learn Mandarin. Take advantage of those interesting people. Read their bio, follow them, listen to her podcast. Take it from the Ein Woman. Get the book. There is a book. You can follow my journey from Switzerland to the US to Kilimanjaro. Don't miss out. Thank you.